The Polícia Federal investigated a murder spree from 1999 to 2000. Submitted by moondog151. It's well known that Brazil is not the safest place in the world. Murders happen all the time, and robberies are just as common. Violent murders happen on a daily basis. But during the years of 1999 and 2000, there were a series of murders which remained unsolved. It started on October 4th, 1999, when a bus driver reported the body of a woman on a highway in São Paulo. Police identified her as Maria da Silva. Maria had a stab wound in her eye, and the responding officer said you could see the road through the hole in her head. Police suspected the Primeiro Comando de Capital were responsible for Maria's husband was doing drug deals with them and couldn't pay up. To add to their suspicions, Maria's husband was nowhere to be found. Despite lack of proof, it was an open and shut case. Then, on October 13th, 1999, another body was recovered, this time from Tietê River. The man's face was completely cut off, and the brain and tongue were removed from his head. The man was identified as Carlos da Silva, Maria's husband. This only fueled suspicion that the Primeiro Comando de Capital was responsible. The police closed the case. But on December 17th, hikers in the Atlantic forest reported a gruesome find to the police. Antonio Rodriguez was found with his stomach cut open and even some of his intestines dangling off tree branches. The police could not find a motive, and the Polícia Federal took over the investigation. Antonio was described as the nicest man in São Paulo. No murder weapon was found, and there were no suspects. The Polícia Federal asked the public for any leads, but to no avail. Things cooled down after Antonio's murder, and the Polícia Federal had to close the case. On April 2nd, 2000, two teenagers exploring an abandoned factory reported a body in the parking lot. Police identified him as Canadian businessman David Williams, who was in Brazil to negotiate foreign business deals. The public feared that O Brutalizador de São Paulo had returned, and the Polícia Federal took over the investigation. David was torn in half, and all his innards were laying on the ground. His eyes were never recovered. Due to his wealth, it was suspected that it was a mugging gone wrong, but that was ruled out due to the graphic nature of the killing and the fact that no money was stolen. His body was returned to Canada. On June 9th, 2000, the last of the murders occurred. Police responded to an abandoned bus blocking the highway. When boarded, the driver, Jose Filippo, was the only occupant, and he was huddled in the corner in the back of the bus, mumbling to himself. Jose attacked one of the responding officers and had to be shot. Jose survived and was diagnosed with PTSD and sent to a mental institution. Police later found out why. Further up the road, organs were scattered all over the highway, including a human fetus. The Polícia Federal again took over the investigation, and they determined that they were passengers from the bus, and that there were, in fact, 26 people killed. None were identified, as all they had to go on was just organs. This was by far the most gruesome murder yet. A passenger manifest brought up no suspects. The massacre shocked Brazil but got little media coverage outside of South America. The Polícia Federal were determined to catch whoever was responsible. They reviewed the bus's CCTV cameras, and they never released the series. All who viewed it declined any interviews before they, disappeared. In 2003, the O Brutalizador de São Paulo case was officially closed. There was only one organized crime group suspected, but after the third murder, they were no longer suspects. After reviewing the CCTV footage on the bus, 5 investigators from the Polícia Federal went missing. The Brazilian government was accused of covering up details, but all that came out of this was riot police getting paid overtime. And the case was eventually forgotten to history. Now, you're probably expecting some bullshit that I was the killer and get ready to go back to work. No. Honestly, I wish that were the case. I immigrated to Argentina in 2005. After seeing that thing, I didn't feel safe in Brazil. I survived the killer, and it was not human. You really think a human could do what happened on that bus? The Brazilian government is covering that up. And don't go seeking the truth. It's better if this is covered up. But I don't want to die. I'm safe from that creature here, and the Polícia Federal have no jurisdiction in Argentina. Right? Just in case, I brought a rifle. If I die, I'm taking someone with me. Please, don't wander the forest outside Sao Paulo. In fact, avoid that damn city in general. I know the government will catch up with me. I'm the only survivor of O Brutalizador de São Paulo's murders. I just had to get the truth out there. But if you don't heed my advice and go to Sao Paulo, please be armed. You'll need it for more than just protecting yourself from gang violence. I'm safe in Argentina, but I have to go back to Brazil to visit family, and I won't make it to them. Please, be safe if you go to Sao Paulo. And with whatever time I have left, I'll try answering any questions you have.